Hello everyone, very good evening. This is Parth from Aussizz Group. I am working in a migration team as a registered migration agent, and today I'm going to talk about skilled visa pathways options in order to get permanent residency in Australia. Before I start talking about pathways, I would like to tell you that we have Trio Education Expo happening on 13th of June, 21st of June, and on 5th of July at 290 Collins Street, level 2. On 13th of June, we'll be having an education expo that will be covering courses relevant to STEM qualifications, that is science, technology, engineering and mathematics, which generally gives you 10 points as per the new regulations coming in this year, November. Currently, you can get 5 points if you are doing study relevant to science, technology, engineering, mathematics at a level of master's by research degree or PhD qualification. So from November this year, you will be getting 10 points. So the education expo happening on 13th of July, that will be 13th of June, that will be covering courses relevant to STEM study. We have another education expo happening on 21st of June that will be covering courses relevant to health and community work. So if you wanted to enroll into any courses as such, then you should join the education expo happening on 21st of June. And we have another expo happening on 5th of July that will be covering the courses relevant to trade and vocational courses. So if you are looking to enroll in any of these kind of courses, then you should attend education expo happening on 13th, 21st July, 13th of June, 21st of June, or 5th of June, 5th of July, happening at level 2, 290 Collins Street. Now coming back to the options about permanent residency pathways, as per the skilled visa options, generally, as you might be knowing, you got two options. You can either apply under employer sponsored visa, or you can apply for general skilled migration visas. Now you might have come across the recent, you might be knowing about the recent policies changes coming up in the month of July, and then there are some new changes coming up in the month of November as well this year. So looking at the new changes, you might be thinking that it's like permanent residency pathways are becoming more difficult, and immigration, they are kind of telling migrants, like new migrants, relocating to other areas like regional areas, so that it will be easier for you to get permanent residency. So when we are talking about GSM visa, that is general skilled migration visa, which is consist of mainly three visa categories: 189 skilled independent visa, 190 that is state nominated visa, state sponsored visa, and thirdly 489 visa, which is regional sponsored visa, which is pathway to permanent residency, where currently, as per the current rules, the pathway, that is 489 visa, will be granted for 4 years, and if you stay in regional area for 2 years and work for 1 year full time in any occupation for 1 year, then you can apply for permanent residency generally after 2 years of time, and that is 887 visa. So that's what generally the current options which are available to you under GSM visa. And same way, there is another category which is employer sponsored visa. You got three visa options: 482 visa, 186 visa, 187 visa. 186 and 187 are permanent residency option. However, 482 visa is a temporary visa which can lead to permanent residency depending on some requirements. So if you are looking for GSM visa, which is point tested visa, where it's all about generally points, and you might have also seen, because of the new changes coming up in this month of July or in the month of November, it might be a bit difficult for you to get permanent residency if you are not able to score higher points. So first option you got is you try to get higher points, and you can get selected with higher points. So firstly, when I'm talking about the changes happening in month of July will be mainly about the program planning ceilings. That is, in this year July, for 189 visa, skilled independent visa, as per the last years, the program level for 189 visa was approximately 40,000 applicants. That includes New Zealand stream and point tested stream, and that also includes all of the applicants. That can be main applicant, dependents, like partner or children. So altogether, as per the planning level for the current year, you can say from last year July, that is July 2018 to June 2019, the planning level for 189 visa was or is approximately around 40,000 applicants. So they are granting 40,000 applicants permanent residency under 189 stream, that is including 189 point A study and New Zealand stream, which immigration is going to decrease from July. Like for the next financial year, they are decreasing it to 18,600 approximately, and which is like more than half of the current year's planning level. Because of that, the competition will increase and the point cutoff will go up. So as of now, if you are seeing until the month of March, they have selected, immigration has selected applicants with 70 points approx, and then after in month of April and May, they have invited only 100 people, and as per the confirmation from department, they have said that in the month of June as well, most likely they will be selecting 100 people. That's why in these 3 rounds, April, May and June month, they have selected only 100 people, and because of which the point cutoff, if you have seen, it's going around 80 points for all the occupations or more than that. So for accountants, it's around 90 points, and for other occupation like IT occupation, it's around 85, and for all other occupations, non-pro-rata occupations, it's around 80 points. That is only because they are inviting only 100 applicants per month like in the invitation rounds. So it's not like the cutoff will remain same for the next upcoming months as well. Why? Because in July immigration will be having new quota, and that's why they will be inviting hopefully more applicants. Considering that they are going to select, or they are going to grant 18,600 applicants permanent residency under 189 visa, immigration hopefully they will be inviting approximately around 1,000 applicants per month. That is 18,600, out of which if we deduct around 8,000 applicants who will be qualifying as a maybe dependent applicants, or they might be qualifying as under New Zealand stream. So when we are talking about 189 point A stud stream, most likely to me it looks like they will be selecting approximately 10,000 applicants as the main applicants, and the remaining 8,600 applicants will be kind of 189 dependents, like they might be falling under 189 point A stud visas but as a dependents, or maybe under 189 New Zealand stream. So that's why most likely if we consider that 10,000 applications as a main applicant under 189 visa, and dividing by generally 10 months, because immigration generally they consider first 10 months of quota like invitation rounds, they don't consider generally last 2 months invitation rounds, and considering that 10,000 applicants approximately divide by 10 months, hopefully I think so they will be inviting around 1,000 applicants if they invite equally, like evenly in each of the month of time. Otherwise, because if you have seen that last years for the last year they have invited, for the current year they have invited like they haven't invited specific number of applicants, like in few months they have invited 1,000 people, in some months they have invited 1,500 in a month such as August and September, I guess they have invited 2,500 people, and then in month of October, November they have invited 4,500 people. So looking at that, they don't have any standard trend. Looking at that, maybe in month of July, if they do the same way, then they might be inviting more people in the month of July, or maybe they might be inviting less people in the month of July, and maybe later on they might be inviting more people. But evenly if you distribute, to what I think of, they will be inviting 1,000 applicants per month of time. Anyway, so if they are inviting 1,000 people compared to last year where they were inviting 1,500, 2,500 or 4,500 people, that's why the cutoff was going at around 70 points. So looking at that, I think the cutoff won't remain at 70 points, because now the number of invitations will be less for sure, and that's why the cutoff should be going high. Secondly, another main change which is coming up in the month of November, where single applicants are going to get 10 extra points, and people who are married and their partner are permanent resident or citizens of Australia or citizen of New Zealand, eligible New Zealand citizen, then you can get 10 points. You can still get 10 points. Or even if you are married and if your partner is a skilled applicant, that is if your partner has a skill assessment, positive skill assessment and minimum 6 bands each in IELTS, SPT, Cambridge or TOEFL, or if your dependent applicant is holding passport from certain countries such as UK, USA, New Zealand, something like that, then you can still get 10 points. So it's not that many people, they think that it's like if you are single then only you will be getting 10 points. It's not like that. Even if you're married and if your partner is either skilled person, or if your partner is permanent resident or citizen of Australia or eligible citizen of New Zealand, still you can get that 10 points. Another thing is, if your partner is not qualified, suppose you are married and your partner is not qualified, but if your partner can at least score competent English, that is 6 points each minimum, or again holding passport from certain countries, still your partner can give you 5 points. If your partner cannot get competent English, then you are not getting any advantage, and that's why other people who are single or married but having that 10 points will be ahead of you. So that's why, considering the current point cutoff, they were inviting with 70 points until March month or until January approximately for non-trade, non-pro-rata occupation, that is all occupations other than accounting, IT and engineering, some of the engineering occupations. So other than that, they were inviting with 70 points. Considering that they are decreasing the seats in the month of July, I hope that the cutoff will be approximately around 75, because they are decreasing the number of invitations. Plus on top of that, from November, single applicants or married couples who has skills, they will be getting 10 extra points. So that's why, suppose if someone has 75 points and that person is single as well, they will be having 85 points. So considering that, I think so from November the cutoff will be 85 and from July it should be around 75. But again, we don't know how many applicants they are going to, like immigration is going to invite. If that fluctuates in a way that in the initial months, if they are going to invite more people, the cutoff may remain at 70 points. I mean, it may come down to 70 points maybe in a month or 2 months of time, because in the month of July and maybe in the month of August, even if they invite more people, they will be selecting people who has applied expression of interest with 75 points or 80 points in the month of in between April, May and June, because people who applied with 80 points in this month, even they are also waiting. So people who applied with 75 or 70 points in these 3-4 months of time, they will be invited first in the month of July and then August maybe, and maybe then after, if still they are inviting more people, then they might be inviting other people who are lodging application expression of interest with 70 points. Otherwise, most likely the cutoff should remain at around 75, and then in November it will be going 10 more points to 85 points. It may come down to 80 points at the later stage, but again it's not guaranteed because number of invitations will be less, and that's why I am expecting the cutoff should be, like, as per the calculations, it should remain at around 75 points from July to November, and then from November it should go up to 85 points. It may go more than that, but I don't think so that there will be that many applicants will be having more than 85 points. So 85 points if you have, it should be fine. Plus another thing is, as of now, people who are having suppose 70 or 75 points, they might be having 5 extra points for their partner already. So then generally they are getting 5 points as of now because their partner is skilled, that is they are having skill assessment and 6 each, and that's why they are claiming 70 plus 5, suppose 75, 5 points from the partner. So they are going to get 10 points in the month of November, but 5 points they have already claimed, so then that's why they will be having 5 more points, like 5 extra points only, so they will be having 80 points. So still cutoff may be at around 80-85, thinking that way. But if still people who are single applicants and having 75 points, they will be having 85. So that's why I think so from July it will be 75 hopefully, and from November onwards, like from December onwards, because immigration, they are changing policy from 16th November, and as per the current trend, their immigration is inviting applicants on 11th of every month. So that's why from November they will be inviting hopefully with 85 points, and for other occupation like accountants it may be higher, because as of now cutoff for accountants approximately 85-90, so they will be getting 10 more points, hoping that it will be 85 95 plus or 90 or 95. So that's why if you think that you can get enough points, then it's okay, but if you think you cannot get enough points, then you should be looking at other options, which I'm going to discuss as well. And about increasing your points, you got option of going for NATI, that is CCL, and that gives you 5 extra points. You have option of going for PTA, PSN Taste of English, which is much easier, or if you are comfortable going for another exams like IELTS or a Cambridge or a TOEFL, you can go for that. And if you score 8 each or equivalent score in the respective exams, then you can get 20 points. 7 each if you get 10 points, but if you score 7 each, I don't think you will be able to make up that many points. So scoring 18 each will be for sure going to help you. Other than this, work experience. If you are working in your nominated occupation, that is the occupation in which you got a positive skill assessment, if you are working in that occupation even part-time, minimum 20 hours per week, and if it is paid employment, then you can claim 5 points if it is 1 year in Australia. If it is overseas, if you got qualification, and then after if you have 3 years of full-time experience or part-time experience, minimum 20 hours per week overseas, then it will be giving you 5 points. If it is in Australia, 5 points if it is only 1 year, but it must be paid at a market rate as well. And if you are getting 3 years experience in Australia, that can give you 10 points. So say in a situation, someone got qualification back home, suppose Bachelor of Commerce, like Bachelor of Accounting, and they did Master of Accounting over here. During Master's qualification, they were working as an accountant, suppose for 1 year, and during their temporary visa, 485 visa application, they were also working for part-time or full-time. They got 3 years experience. Even the first 1 year of experience was during Master's qualification, but because they got overseas qualification, BCom, which is also relevant, that's why you are getting 10 points for 3 years experience. So as long as it's post qualification, your qualification can be offshore, but if it is equivalent to relevant level for that occupation, then you may be able to claim points. So experience can give you extra points, which is very important factor. Why? Because some states, they are sponsoring applicants who has experience. For most of the, if you are looking for the state sponsorship, states generally look for experience. That can be overseas experience, can be in Australia. So whenever there is any state which is sponsoring, they will be clarifying that they are looking for Australian experience or overseas experience. So if you have experience in Australia or overseas, and if any state is looking for experience, even if you are low points, they might be okay to sponsor you as well. So experience, if you don't have, you should try to get that, because state sponsorship might be easier for you, and that also gives you points. Another factor is partner skills. So as I said, if you got married, suppose, and you think that you are not going to get that 10 extra points because your partner is not qualified, you may look for like your partner may try for at least getting 6 bench inch. That will give you as a main applicant, you will be getting 5 points. And if not, suppose if you wanted to get more points, your partner may start some other study which is in the high demand or low demand, and then if they get skill assessment, you might be able to claim points. However, if your partner's occupation is in high demand, that is MLT SSL list, medium to long term occupation list, then your partner can give you 10 points in 189 visa itself, which is skill independent visa. Because for skill independent visa, the requirement is all applicants occupation must be on MLT SSL list, medium to long term skill occupation list, if you want to claim points for your partner as well and the main applicant as well. However, if you want to claim points under state sponsorship, your partner's occupation can be on short term, that is STSOL list. Anyway, so partner skills. Other than that, you may look for professional year program if you have full-time work rights and study rights for at least 1 year. So if you got a visa for 1 year, and if you have studied IT, accounting or engineering, because professional year program is only available to students who has done IT, accounting or engineering, in that case you can get 5 points. This is easy points. It's just that you require at least 1 year of visa, which can allow you to study and work full-time. Other than this, you may look for state sponsorship or a family sponsorship. As of now, states are sponsoring either 5 points under 190 visa, which is straight away permanent residency, state nominated visa, and state can sponsor you 10 points if you are going for regional sponsored visa, which is a 489 visa. Same way, if you have a family member who is permanent resident or citizen of Australia or eligible New Zealand citizen, and who is related to you by a blood, that is your uncle, auntie, cousin, nephew, niece, maybe parents, siblings, something like that, up to first cousin, they can sponsor you 10 points, as long as they are living outside of Gold Coast, Brisbane, Sydney, Newcastle, Wollongong. If they are living outside of this, then they can sponsor you. So if they are permanent resident living in any of the cities, even Melbourne, suppose, as of now they can sponsor you 10 points. But from this year, November, immigration is changing the policy where they says that your sponsor must also be living outside of the main metropolitan cities. Then they will be able to give you points. From November, as per the new changes, they are saying that state will be sponsoring you 15 points. Same with family member. If you have a sponsor living outside of main metropolitan cities, that is Melbourne, Perth, Sydney, Gold Coast and Brisbane, then they can still give you 15 points. But if they are living in that cities, then even if you are related, they will not be able to sponsor you points. So that is extra points. So if you think you cannot get enough points, then you got two other choice. If you can get good points, then you can stay over here, like suppose in the city metropolitan area, and you may look for permanent residency options. If you think that you are not able to get higher points, then you should look for some other options, which can be relocating to some other state and look for state sponsorship, because there are some states which says that if you study in their state or if you work in their state, then they might be able to help you, like they might be able to sponsor you. So that may be the option. As of now, there are only two states, which is mainly Victoria and New South Wales, which can sponsor you if you are living. So that, like, your location doesn't matter, wherever you are living, these two states can sponsor you if you meet some additional requirement, such as maybe job offer letter, that is for Victoria, and again, that is not for all occupations, only for certain occupation. But generally Victoria can sponsor you and New South Wales can sponsor you even if you are living in any other state. So without relocating, you can apply to these two states. However, if you are looking for any other state other than these two states, then most of the states ask you to relocate, live in that state for at least 6 months or maybe more, and study there or work there. So study either or work for 1 year or 2 years, again depending on the state, then they might be able to sponsor you. That can be Tasmania, Northern Territory, Canberra, South Australia, Western Australia, Queensland. So all of the other states ask you to relocate, work there or study there, then they can sponsor you. If you are looking for Western Australia or Queensland, they are looking for higher level study, like higher education, that is undergrad degree or master's degree. However, if you look for South Australia, say, or Tasmania, Canberra or Northern Territory, they even accept study at a lower level, like diploma level qualification. So if you go there and study there, or if you work there in your occupation, then they might be able to sponsor you. Only state, which is Tasmania, they says they can sponsor you for 489 visa, which is pathway to PR, even if you're working in any other occupation, but at least 6 months full time, they can still sponsor you. And so that is about relocating to other states and looking for state sponsored options. About New South Wales and Victoria generally ask for more years of experience, so that might be a bit difficult. If you don't have any experience, they don't generally sponsor you. However, New South Wales, that's the easiest state nomination, and most likely they will reopen in the month of July. Like as of now, they are open for 190 visa, but they are not, they are like most of the, because for 489 in New South Wales, they have different regional areas, like they have 8-9 regional areas. So for regional areas, most of them, they are closed as of now. They are saying they will reopen in the month of July. So you might be able to apply for New South Wales in regional area because they have the easiest requirement, which even doesn't ask you to relocate at the beginning. Third option you might have is study something else. You know, suppose if you are doing study relevant to accounting or maybe IT or engineering, because there are many applicants applying in this occupation, so you might look for study something which is not many people are doing. Why? Because then your competition will be less. So if less people are studying, then you don't have to compete more people, and the cutoff requirements will be a bit lesser. So if you are studying something which is relevant to IT, accounting or engineering, and again for engineering it's only for some specific occupations such as mechanical engineers or maybe electronics engineers or other engineers, which like the engineers which are falling under other engineering category. For these occupations particularly, they may look for some other study. Why? Because for other study, other occupations, the points cutoff requirement will be a bit lower. Like study relevant to study anything other than this occupation, 3 occupations which is in high demand, MLTSSL list, medium to long term skilled occupation list, you can study something relevant to this. Most of the students look for study relevant to like maybe nursing, if they have done something background, if they have background relevant to health science, they may look for nursing courses. There are people who are looking for social work courses. There are people who are looking for teaching courses. For teaching, the good thing is you don't need any specific background, so anyone can go for teaching courses. So teaching, and then there are trade courses. Many people also look for trade courses. The only problem with the trade course is you can only apply with trade courses if you study at least for 1 year in trade courses other than cookery, because for cookery, if you have studied certificate 3 and 4, that is 1.5 years, then you are qualified as a chef, which is in high demand. With certificate 3, still you are eligible to work as a cook, so you can apply as a cook after 1 year study. But other occupations generally like motor mechanic, carpenter, bricklayer, that kind of occupations requires 1 year study, but after that you also require 1 year of full-time job. So there are many students who ask me that, okay, I wanted to do trade course, which is easy to get VR. However, if they don't have work rights, full-time work rights for 1 year of time after their study, then again they cannot get a skill assessment. If they cannot get a skill assessment, they cannot apply for permanent residency under that occupation. So if you think that you have that option of getting 1 year full-time experience after you complete 1 year of study relevant to trade occupation, then you might be able to look for that option, which is also a good option, where people, because students are more concerned about money as well, which they are spending at that courses. So that's why looking at that trade courses are good option, but you have to look at the work experience requirement as well, because you also have to find an employer And if you don't have enough time to complete that 1 year job ready program, which is like 1 year experience, then you won't be able to get a skill assessment. That's where the concern is. So you can look for some other courses which can directly give you skill assessment, such as advanced diploma in engineering, like in civil, electrical or telecommunication engineering, which is in high demand. As long as you complete 2 years of study, you are eligible to get a skill assessment, something like that. There are other courses which is community welfare related occupations, but for that occupations you have to look for state sponsors, because that occupations are in short term. But as long as you study, suppose diploma level courses which is approved by this relevant skill assessment authority, ACWA, then you can get skill assessment easily. So if you study this kind of courses in states such as maybe Canberra or maybe in South Australia, it might be a bit easier for you to get a state sponsorship. Or even Canberra, or even Northern Territory or maybe Tasmania, they might be able to sponsor you. But then courses, you might not be able to get these kind of courses in that kind of states. That's where the problem. But still, I'm not sure about the courses, but if you find any courses as such in these 4 states, it might be easier for you to get state nomination from that kind of states. So that is about study option. You may choose to study something else. If you are doing study something which is other than these courses, and if it is in high demand MLT SSL list, then it's alright. You continue with that study and you may look for permanent residency option based on that study itself. The 4th option you may have is work visas, like employer sponsored visas. If you have already 2 years of full-time experience post relevant qualification, then you might be able to look for employer sponsored visa. So if your employer says I'm happy to sponsor you, you may be able to look for that visa, so that for time being you can go for that visa. In the meantime, you can try for more points, something like that. Or if not, you can look for like if your employer is happy to sponsor you even for permanent residency after 3 years of time, then you can get permanent residency. However, the problem with employer sponsored visa is firstly you need 2 years of full-time experience post relevant qualification, like after study. On case by case basis, experience which gained during qualification may be considered, but it's for specific occupations like maybe trade occupations or health occupations, something like that. But generally it's post qualification. 2 years of full-time experience generally within last 5 years is required to get employer sponsored visa. Again, another problem with employer sponsored visa is your occupation must be on MLT SSL list, medium to long term skilled occupation list, in order to look for permanent residency pathways directly based on employer sponsored visa. So suppose if your occupation is on MLT SSL list, medium to long term skilled occupation list, and if your employer is happy to sponsor you for 482 visa, employer sponsored visa, you will get your visa for 4 years considering you meet all of the requirements. And if you work with the same employer for 3 years, then you can look for permanent residency. Or within that 3 years, suppose you got enough points and you got invitation for 189, 190, suppose you can still look for permanent residency that way. However, if your occupation is under short-term occupation list or under regional occupation list, the problem is it will not lead to permanent residency. You will only get temporary visa for 2 years of time. That is, within that 2 years, you have to look for still permanent residency under 190 visa, which is a state-sponsored visa, or you can look for pathway to PR, which is 489 visa, which as per the new rules will be changing to 491 visa from November this year. So employer sponsored visa, the only problem being your occupation must be in high demand MLT SSL list, then it will lead to permanent residency. Also considering your employer wanted to sponsor you, if they are happy to sponsor you for permanent residency as well, because they have to sponsor you 2 times, at the beginning when you are getting 4 years visa, and once you get that 4 years visa, if you work with the same employer for 3 years, after that 3 years employment, your employer must be happy to sponsor you. Because if your employer is not happy to sponsor you at that time after 3 years, again you cannot get permanent residency through that way. So that's why people look for GSM visas. GSM visa is better in that way. You are not like dependent on any employer or any other thing. If you have enough skills by yourself, you can look for permanent residency. So that's what generally the options you got. You either increase your points if you think you cannot match up the points, which is the current cutoff going on, whatever the cutoff going on, then you may look for relocation to other states, because immigration, they are kind of telling the people indirectly in a other way, because for regional pathways, immigration has increased the seats around 14,000 applicants they are going to sponsor. That seats were not available earlier, so that's why they are kind of cutting down seats from 189 visa, like less than half they have cut down, which kind of they are replacing, they are allocating it for regional visas. So that's why immigration in terms, they are indirectly telling you to relocate to regional area, because point cutoff will be more for sure, because they are decreasing the number of seats, and plus more points are given to the applicant who are single or married with skills. So that's why relocation might be a better choice if you think you cannot get quite very high points, or you can look for some other study options. But again, if you're looking for some other study options, you still have to get more points if you want to stay in city areas like Melbourne or maybe Sydney or maybe Brisbane, something like that. And the fourth option you got is work. The problem with work visa is getting the 2 years of full-time experience, because you might not be able to get, because you don't have enough visa, maybe because you finish your study and then you got suppose temporary visa which is suppose 2 years only. You might not have that 2 years of full-time job. That's where the problem is. There's another visa which, if you just wanted to buy some time, you may look for training visa. If your employer is happy to sponsor you, in terms of happy to give you training for, depending on, like, you can get up to 2 years of visa depending on the training plan. You can get training visa which is 407 visa. So time being, if you wanted to look for that, by the time you get your more points, you may look for 407 visa. The requirement for that is you have to have 1 year of experience within last 2 years, and your employer must be happy to train you. And according to the training plan, if your employer is saying that we will be training you for suppose a year of time, then you will be getting a year of visa. Or if it is less than that, more than that, if immigration is satisfied with the training plan, they can give you that much of visa. By that time you work on other things and you may be able to apply for permanent residency. Other than that, most of the people, if their current visa is expiring, they look for student visa options. If you wanted to study and wanted to work on the other things, you can study at the same time and increase your points. So that is also a way. And if you know that suppose you have enough points, but if your visa is expiring in suppose 2-5 days or maybe in a month of time, and if you are not going to get an invite within that month of time, but if you are thinking that you might get invite in maybe month of July, suppose, like soon, in short, then you may look for visitor visa option as well. Only problem with visitor visa is if suppose visitor visa get granted for 2 months of time, and if you don't get invite within that 2 months, you still have to spend money on maybe some other visa, or maybe again you might have to go for another visa extension, visitor visa maybe, or a student visa, something like that. So that's why these are the options you have, but mainly it's about points or looking for employer sponsored visa. So if you I think I'll just go through the questions. If anyone has any queries, I will just help you with whatever queries you have, and then if you still have any questions, you keep posting it, and then by maybe end of the session, like maybe later on, we'll be replying to that questions. I'll cover some questions now itself. Just a second, bear with me. Later on, we'll be replying to that questions. I'll cover some questions now itself. Just a second, bear with me. Okay, so I'll quickly go through questions because I got pretty much 40-50 questions, but then I won't cover the same questions again, but I'll try to help you with whatever queries you have. Mohammad Shakil Khan is asking, is new point matrix applicable to regional visa, 491 visa only, or it's also applicable for 189 visa and 190 visa? The new point system, that is for single applicants, they are getting 10 points. That is applicable to everyone, 189, 190, 489 visas. Secondly, is it possible to get 489 in Northern Territory with 60 points of my own? Look, generally for state nominations, state generally doesn't look for more points. As long as you meet their requirement, they are generally happy to sponsor you. Why? Because there are not many applicants, many people applying for the state nomination. Suppose if we are talking about Northern Territory, say, Northern Territory says that they can sponsor you if you have studied there for 2 years full time. That is generally because if you are on a student visa, you will be studying full time anyway. So 2 years of full time study, or if you have worked for 6 months full time in the same occupation in which you got a skill assessment, then they can sponsor you. Now there won't be that many applicants who will be studying there in Northern Territory for 2 years. Why? Because there are not many schools, many colleges and university. Like there is only one university, CDU, Charlestown University, and they have few colleges. So that's why not many students studying there. Secondly, when we are talking about 6 months of full-time job, because they only sponsor with these two criteria, either 2 years of full-time study or 6 months of full-time job. Now, if you see, there are not many schools, as I said, Secondly, there are not many people working in their nominated occupation, because not many people get job in the same occupation. That's why the competition is less. So if you're going to meet any of this requirement, that's why most likely state will be sponsoring you. Even if you have minimum points of suppose 60 and 5 points from the state or 10 points from the state, they should be happy to sponsor you. That is for suppose Northern Territory. For any other state, same way, they have some additional requirement. Like Victoria, suppose they have 5 years of experience requirement, like for some occupation in which they are sponsoring. Now, there won't be many applicants who will be having 5 years of experience. Why? Because most of the students who come over here in Australia to study, they might have graduated from their like undergrad degree and then they have studied master's degree over here. Or they might not have, most likely they won't have 5 years of experience. That's why not many people are eligible for suppose Victoria state nomination. That's why even if you apply to Victoria for the occupation where they ask for 5 years experience, suppose for cook, they easily sponsor that kind of applicants. It's not particularly about cook because it's trade occupation, like suppose hotel manager, which is bit high level occupation, but not many people qualify the state nomination requirement of having 5 years. That's why with even lower points they sponsor. So for state nominations, generally points doesn't matter much, but again, yes, if suppose state need 10 people and 20 people are applying, then they will still look into the points. That's why the points come into picture. Otherwise, because most of the states like Northern Territory, Tasmania, they don't get many people, and that's why they sponsor easily. Still Tasmania, because they are experiencing many applications for 489 visa, they are making it a bit difficult. But for 190 visa, because not many people are studying for 2 years, so that's why it's easier. Sandeep Kumar is asking, is there anything changing with social worker in regional area? As of now, nothing as such. As long as you have enough points, or if you are looking for regional area, I'm not sure which regional area you are looking at, but if you are looking at some other like states such as low populated states such as Tasmania, Northern Territory, it's very easy. As long as you study there or work there, it's easy, they will sponsor you. And if you are talking about other states such as maybe New South Wales, then you will get to know about state nomination from month of July. Amanjot is asking, what are the chances to get invitation with 75 points in security or developer programmer in this year? For security specialist, there might be some chances. Why? Because not many people are again applying security occupation. However, in programming category, there are many applicants applying in this occupation. That's why the cutoff even as of now, if you see, it's 80. But with 75 points, after July, you might have some chances. But I would say security occupation, security specialist will have more chances than programming occupation. Raman Saika is asking, hello sir, I am on 190 New South Wales since February 2019. I am on 190 New South Wales. Me and my wife are full-time workers in Victoria. I called skilled team in Sydney. They said I need to migrate to New South Wales for 2 years. Otherwise, they will withdraw my nomination. Can I go alone and work at Victoria border, Wodonga, and live in Albury? Highly confused that my PR will be cancelled. Please guide. Thanks. Okay. Look, as you might be knowing, whenever you apply for the state nomination, state generally tell you that we expect you or we encourage you to live in our state. Why? Because state is having demand for your occupation in their state. So suppose if New South Wales has a demand of accountant, you are an accountant, that's why they are sponsoring you. Why? Because they are saying they have demand in their state. So they expect you to live in their state so that that demand will be fulfilled. So that's why if you look at their guideline, New South Wales, they generally says that we expect or we encourage you to live in our state. However, when you get permanent residency through Immigration Department of Home Office, as you have seen your visa grant copy, immigration, they never say that you have to live in this state or any other state, like particularly New South Wales or whichever state has sponsored you. So as per immigration, you don't have obligation as such, but as per the state nomination, because they are sponsoring you, so they expect you. So it's kind of a moral obligation from the state. And if you are looking at the moral obligation, you should relocate to the state. If they are saying so that they can cancel your state nomination, and if they cancel the state nomination, it may affect your visa that way. However, as I said, immigration cannot, like, generally does not take any action. It's not like they cannot, but if they want, they can take action if state generally cancel the state nomination. So it's advisable that if you relocate to the states such as New South Wales for you, because they have sponsored you, so it's better for you, so that they, like, there is no concern as such that they will be sponsoring you or they will be cancelling your state nomination, something like that. But as I said, it's a moral obligation from the state. Like New South Wales, they never say that you must live in our state. They encourage you to live in their state. They say that we'll help you to find an employment opportunity, something like that. But it's not like they'll be looking for employment for sure, but they says we can help you as such. And I have seen that for regional areas in New South Wales, for some of my clients, I applied for the state nomination, and then state came and asked me that I got opportunity as such for and then you have applied for this client's application for this occupation, can you just ask that client to send the resume to this employer, something like that. So they are helping you to try and find employment opportunities in that state as well. In short, if you can, better it's advisable that you relocate to that state. Jeet Chaudhary is asking, is it possible to move Tasmania to New South Wales regional after having 489 491 visa due to work? Like someone have a job offer from New South Wales regional. Also, does it break 489 Tasmania visa conditions if a person already moved to another state? The same thing which I just discussed. Same thing for Tasmania, because all of the states generally says that we encourage you to live in our state. But immigration, if you have come across the immigration policy and as per the new regulations as well, if you have gone through the recent policies which like immigration documents supplied by immigration saying that what are the new policies coming in from November, they have said that you can shift from one regional area to another regional area. Immigration does not have any problem as such. So as per that, if you want to, you can change the regional areas, but state generally says we have a moral you have a moral obligation that you relocate and live in that state. But state also understand that if you don't have if you can't support your living things, like suppose if you're not getting any job in that state, suppose, and if you're not able to support yourself for living and accommodation, something like that, then they also give you kind of a release saying that okay, you can go and work in some other regional areas. But as per the immigration policies, if you're looking for 489, you must leave work or whatever you want to do, study, you must do that in regional area of Australia. Then after the next inquiry is, how about nurse? Is it still going higher than 65? Look, for all occupation other than accounting, IT and engineering, the cutoff was 70 points until March. And as I said, from July, because they are cutting down some occupation ceiling for this program for 189. That's why I think with 70 points it would be very difficult to get an invite. For all other occupation, that includes doctor, nurse, social worker, teacher, anything, trade occupation, anything as such, for 189 visa the point cutoff will be higher. However, if you are looking for state nominations such as New South Wales, maybe, because they are the one which can sponsor you from anywhere. So if you are suppose from offshore, or if you are living in Victoria or any other state, you can still apply for New South Wales state nomination. So that's why New South Wales, I think so that will be easy even if you have low points, because I have seen recently I applied for some clients with 60+5, still they have sponsored that kind of applicants, like suppose trade occupations or other occupation in which not many people apply. So yeah, Ursula is asking, what are the chances to get 190 state nomination in New South Wales with 65 points? Actually, that depends on the occupation. As I say, if in your occupation not many people are applying, you might get an invite with that much of points, 65 even. So even for teachers, I have applied for some clients recently, they got state nomination with 60+5, and trade occupations even. So depending on how many applications they are receiving, based on that they select the people. If they don't get many applicants with higher points, then they know that in this kind of occupation not many people are applying with higher points, so that's why they select even with low points. Wasim is asking, what about business analyst? For business analyst, the cutoff generally remains at 75, and because for the last 2 months and even in the month of June, most likely it will be like business analyst have been invited with 80 or higher points. That's why from July even, I think so the cutoff will be at least at 75 or more points. Anyway, with 75 points even in business analyst, there is a long backlog. So I would say 80 points if you have or more points, then you might have good chances. Otherwise, you will have to keep waiting. And again from November, new points system is coming up. That's why it will be going a bit more. Venkatesh is asking, is work in selected regional areas required for family sponsored visas? For family sponsored visa, as of now, you can work anywhere except Sydney, Newcastle, Wollongong, that is in New South Wales, and Brisbane. Other than these 4 places, you can work anywhere, even in Melbourne, for family sponsored visa as well. For family sponsored visa particularly, not for regional sponsored like state sponsored visa. However, from this year November, immigration, as per whatever the policy they have said so far, they are saying that sponsor can only sponsor you if sponsor is living outside of metropolitan cities such as Perth, Melbourne, and then Brisbane, Gold Coast, Sydney, something like that. And you also have to live and work in regional areas out of these things. So that's why now immigration is making a common regional areas for 489 family sponsored and 489 state sponsored stream out of that main cities which I just said. Wasim is asking, I have 75 points for business analyst. Could you please explain about the chances for PR? As I just said, 75 points will be a bit difficult. I would say getting a state nomination will be easier, or getting 5 more points at least will help you. And do you have any, so Wasim is asking, do you have any information on total seats number? Look, generally for occupation ceiling for particularly business analysts, for last 2-3 years it is approximately around 1500 applicants, like they are giving permanent residency under business analyst. Again, many people say that the occupation ceiling, because every year, as you know, that immigration publish whatever the occupation ceiling for particular occupation, like suppose for business analysts they need 1500-1600 people, but it's not like immigration they are for sure they are going to select that many people. They have total ceiling as well, like for all occupation, including all occupation, they have a total ceiling, like as I said, they are granting 40,000 applications permanent residency under 189. On top of that, they will have a specific ceiling for main applicants. There are some specific ceiling for particular occupation, like business analyst 1500-1600 people. So suppose even overall ceiling get full, suppose as of now if you have seen for 189 they have selected approximately 22,800 people under 189 as a main applicant under point tested stream. And if you have seen for the last 2-3 years, they have selected very similar people, like the total seats as I said for 189 is 40,000 people under 189 point tested stream. That includes 189 point tested, 189 points tested dependents, and 189 New Zealand stream. So including that, total seats were around 40,000 people. And if you think the same way, 50% of seats were allocated, or like the number of invitations were given to the main applicants, that is approximately 22,000. Even for this year they have invited 22,800 applicants approximately under 189 main applicant stream. And that's why even in month of June they said that they are going to invite only 100 people. That's why approximately 23,000 people they are going to invite under main applicant, 189 main applicant. Why? Because other applicants are 189 main applicants dependents, maybe their partner or dependent children, or maybe they are falling under 189 New Zealand stream. So that's why if you are thinking the same way, out of 18,600, 10,000 applicants hopefully will be under 189 main applicant point tested stream. That's why the cutoff will be a bit higher. But occupation ceiling hopefully will remain same, 1,500-600 people. But as I said, it's not like immigration will be selecting that 1,500 people for sure for that year. Even if you have seen for this year, I think they haven't selected that many people, like they haven't invited 1,500 business analysts or system analysts. Dependra is asking, what are the chances to get PR with video producer in Western Australia? So video producer, I'm not sure whether this occupation is there in the list of Western Australia. If it is there and if you have studied there, then they might be happy to sponsor you. But if occupation is not there in their occupation list, then it's not possible. You will have to go to some other states such as South Australia, Tasmania, Northern Territory, or Canberra, because these 4 states, South Australia, Tasmania, Northern Territory and Canberra, they are the one which keep sponsoring throughout the year. And they says that even if your occupation is not on their list, but as long as it's on department list, immigration list, then they are happy to sponsor you. So I'm not sure about Western Australian occupation list if it is there, and if you have studied their undergrad degree or higher degree, you might be able to apply. But I'm not sure whether that occupation is there on their list. If it is there, then it's okay. Otherwise, you should better relocate, or you may study something else and look for PR options that way. Nitesh Shah is asking, sir, I have 80 points on my own and accounting experience over 1 year and live in New South Wales. Will I get an invitation with 80 points on 190 as I get 10 points, which will become 90 points? Actually, for 190, you get 5 points only. So I'm not sure 80 points on my own and accounting experience 1 year. So I'm not sure you are saying that 80 points you got by your own without experience points. If it is like that, then you will have 80 plus 5 points for 1 year experience plus 5 points for state nomination. Then you will have 90 points. If it is like that, then it might be still easier for you to get an invite with 90 points for New South Wales 190. But if you are saying you got 80 points including 1 year experience and 5 points from the state, that is 85, then it will be difficult, because there are many applicants who has applied with 80 points plus 5 points to New South Wales, but still it is a bit difficult. And that's why it's difficult. Okay. Nitesha, is it true that from November single get 10 points? But my concern was, is it for all areas or only for regional areas, as the features aren't announced yet by government. Look, as per the government, they have already provided a policy saying the same thing, that they are going to give 10 points to single applicants, and to the applicants who are married but their partner are permanent resident or citizen of Australia, or eligible New Zealand citizens, or their partner are skilled, like having a skill assessment and 6, which they can still give you 10 points. Like as a main applicant, to main applicant they can give you 10 points. So that is from November. It's kind of guaranteed that that's going to happen now, because as of now they have already provided a document, on official document, saying that this is the thing. So I believe that most likely this is what going to happen, and that is actually applicable to all of the visas 189, 190, 489. So it's, if you're going for 189, that will be applicable to you as well, or any other people, any other applicant who is single, they will be getting 10 extra points. And that's why I'm saying that in November the cutoff will be 10 more points, hopefully. Thilini is asking, will 75 points enough for environmental engineer? For non, like other, because environmental engineer, if you would be you will be knowing that it falls under other engineering professionals, and for other engineering professionals, cutoff generally it's remaining at around 75 points, and they have selected, I think, applicants until January with 75 points. So I'm not sure when you have applied for this expression of interest, but you might have good chances maybe after July, because they might start inviting more people. If not, I should recommend you to go for some other state nominations such as New South Wales, which you can apply now even, or you can look for some other state, but you will have to relocate to other states for that. Salman Sabri is asking, how I have 80 plus 5 points for accounting, is there any chance for New South Wales? As I said, with 80 plus 5 points it's very difficult. If you get 5 more points somehow, which I said, like you can go for NATI or maybe PT. I think you might have done, that's why you're getting 80, but I'm not sure about NATI or work experience or partner skills. PY maybe you might have done already. So if you get 5 more points somehow, then you might be able to get an invite. However, with 80 plus 5, I think it's difficult, because lots of people are having 80 points and waiting in the queue, and because for 189 immigration is selecting as of now people with only 90 points. So suppose someone is having 85 points, they are also applying as of now to New South Wales, just to make sure that next year new changes are coming up, they don't want to fall under that. That's why they are applying to New South Wales even, and that's why they are having 85 plus 5, that is 90. That's why it's difficult. Leora is asking, if one study Bachelor of Community Service in Victoria, does it mean they have to move to South Australia or Northern Territory, since it is not on the occupational list for Victoria, and does it lead to state nomination PI? Okay, so when you are saying that you are doing Bachelor of Community Services, in that case, if your occupation is not on the Victorian state government list, then you have to relocate to other state, because occupation you are going to nominate will be on short term, and if your occupation is on short term, you have to look for state sponsorship. You cannot apply for 189 visa, because to apply for 189 visa, your occupation must be on MLT SSL list, medium to long term skilled list, which is not generally their community services. So in that case, if you qualify as a community worker, something like that, or youth worker, welfare worker, something like that, then you have to look for state nomination. That's a compulsory. If you want to do that, Victoria generally they don't sponsor such occupations. You will have to relocate to some other states, as you mentioned, like South Australia, Northern Territory, Tasmania, Canberra. Then they might be happy to sponsor you. So studying over here, kind of it's not going to help you, like if you're going to study in Melbourne, in terms of immigration prospects, like getting permanent residency. Okay, will IT will get with 75 points in networking? As I said, 75 points in networking, still it might be okay, because in networking there is not such backlog, like long backlog. That's why after maybe July you might be able to get an invite in security in network. But if you can get assessment into security, it will be a bit easier than networking as well. Adnan Tara is asking, mechanical engineering 80 points, EOI updated today, chance of 189 visa. Most likely after June, that is in July, or after that, most likely you will be getting an invite. So it's easy for you. Prudvi Raj, sir, what are the chances for civil engineer occupation with 65 points plus 5 points, 70 points in 190 New South Wales? For New South Wales, I have seen they are inviting engineers but with very high points, like 75 plus 5, that is 80 points. So that's why if you score higher points, it might be easier. It looked bit kind of confusing in a way that 189, if you have 75 points by your own, then 189 is anyway easy. But I know that as of now, currently, because in 189 the cutoff is going approximately around 80 points. That's why someone who is having 75 points in civil engineering even, which is generally easy to get invite in 189, but then because as of now they are inviting only 100 people per month, that's why people who have 75 points, they are also looking for state nomination from New South Wales. So that's why they will be having 75 plus 5, 80 points, and that's why New South Wales is inviting them only. That's why it's difficult. Otherwise, if 189 cutoff come down, then generally New South Wales also invite with less points, but which I don't think so it will come down to 65 for sure. Even for 70, I don't think it's easy. So 75 for 189, most likely it will remain after July, and that's why New South Wales will be difficult for you as well. Okay. Indushan is asking, is there any chances for 190 visa points requirement for nursing? Look, generally for nursing, states easily sponsor. I'm not sure which state you are talking about. Okay, will there be any chances for 190 for nursing recent graduates in Victoria? Okay, if you're talking about Victoria, it's very easy. If you have 60 points, as long as minimum points, which is 60 plus 5 points from the state, and if you are saying that you have recently graduated from Victoria, Victoria easily sponsor you. So Victoria will be easy for you. If you are studying or working in Victoria, then it's very easy for nursing students. So easy, you can say. Rajesh Shahi is asking, is there any changes coming for 489 Tasmania as well after November? Look, I don't think so. Why? Because for 489, like new visa, 491 visa, because they are increasing the seats to 14,000 applicants. That's why I don't think so they will be increasing the requirements, because then they have enough seats, because then new seats are coming up, they are adding up new seats. So that's why the immigration will be giving more seats to the state government. That's why I don't think state will be increasing the requirement, because then as of now, suppose whatever the seats they have, more than that, more people are applying, and that's why state is also making it a bit difficult to offer you state nomination. But then because immigration is going to give them more seats, that's why I think the requirements most likely will remain same, or unfortunately, I mean, I don't think so, but then maybe very little chance that they may decrease the requirement, which is I don't think so. Why? Because still there are many applicants going and living in that areas. So that's why I don't think they will be decreasing the requirements. Most likely it will remain same, but I don't think it will go up. Okay, Sriniskla Bhardwaj is asking, what are the chances of getting PR in Bachelor of Cyber Security, Masters and Master of Cyber Security? As I said, security, not many people are applying, so that's why, but then still cut off, as I said, it's approximately around 75 points. So if you can score that much, then it's easy. What are the chances of registered nurse in New South Wales? If you have good points, then New South Wales should be able to sponsor you easily. But I have applied for some clients even with 65 plus 5, 70 points, 70 plus 5 points. As of now, they are not inviting, but hopefully maybe from July onwards, they may start sponsoring. And then Aussizz Bashir is asking, what are the chances of 190 visa in any state with 3 years overseas experience plus 1 year local experience in IT? You got good chances, but it depends on which state is asking for experience. Suppose Victoria, if you apply for, that might be a bit easier, but still you have to get more points, because Victoria as of now, they're also looking at the points. But some other state which is having experience requirement, I think for that states it will be easy for you to get state nomination. But you're asking about 190, so then as of now it's only 2 states you can apply under, Victoria and New South Wales, because all other states ask you to relocate, study there or work there in that states. So I'm not sure whether that 1 year local experience you are talking about, that is in that kind of states, but I think so it's hopefully maybe it's in Victoria or New South Wales. If it is like that, then you can apply for these 2 states, but it's a bit difficult. I mean, you'll have to increase your points, because they are also looking at the points. Kamal Soul is asking, how many points for telecommunication and networking for 189 visa? 75 most likely after July for most of the occupations. So you try to get that many points, or you look for state nomination. What about application for painters in New South Wales? Easy. For painting occupations, like trade occupation, they easily sponsor even with lower points. So I think that's easier. And for 489 visa, New South Wales, they will be sponsoring from July onwards, and it will be easy most likely. So that's why if you're looking for 489 for New South Wales, it will be easy. 190 still they are as of now sponsoring easily. If you have any questions, you still can post it, and then myself or my colleagues will be able to answer your questions, because it's like I have answered most of the questions. So if you have any questions, still you can post it, and then we will be able to answer that maybe tomorrow, like hopefully in a business day of time. And as I said, we have trade like education expo happening on 13th June, that is on STEM qualifications, and on 21st June, that is happening related to courses such as health and community welfare work, and trade and vocational courses expo, which is happening on 5th July. So if you have, or if you wanted to go for that kind of courses, you please attend any of that expo according to your choice. That is happening on 13th June, 21st June and 5th July. That is on level 2, 290 Corner Street. And that's it for the day. If you have any questions, as I said, you post it. All good.